So make sure your eyes are round and they're level. And I'm just going to use like this is about a number 3, number 4 brush. And so I'm going to use my burnt sienna. We are going to lift out a bit of colour as well. So perhaps again check the colour on the edge of your paper. I've added a little bit of orange to that, or a little bit of red, just to make it look perhaps a touch too browny. So just add a little bit of orangey red to it, just to warm it up a little bit. You don't need much mixed up, and I'm going to just paint the whole of that eye in. Actually, I'm going to put a bit more orange into that. Let's just paint the whole of the eye, do both of them. And then I'm going to take a little bit of a nice dark brown, like a sepia, or you could use black if you wanted. And I'm just going to drop a bit of that at the top of the eye. Again, just dab it in, let it flow a little bit. And then with a clean brush I'm going to lift out that highlight at the top. It's like a line highlight rather than a dot. And also, if you look at the picture, it's a little bit lighter there on the underneath. So again, I'm just going to wash my brush, dab it on.
Just use that, there we go, sorry.
So it's like a burnt sienna. Are you unwrapping it? Burnt sienna. Just add a little bit of orange or red to it, just to warm it up a little bit. And then a little bit of a dark brown at the top.
Okay.
And then while it's still, just going to lift a little bit out at the bottom. I might go in a little bit darker with that, but we'll leave that for the moment and let that dry. So I've lifted a little bit out at the bottom, just with a clean dry brush, a little bit out there, and I've lifted that highlight across the top there. So we've got that marked where it is. Then I'm going to take my black I never know whether I'm picking up black or Payne's grey with these paints. They always look the same. So you put them on. So the nose, let's paint this, quite a big nose, so we've got this, well, what sort of shape is it? I'm not quite sure how I'd describe the shape, apart from being nose shape. It's almost like a heart where the markings are. I'm just doing the nostril bit of the nose. Again, wash your brush, dry it, and I'm just going to lift out that little bit of highlight on the nose. Have a look at your picture and just lift those bits out. does look a bit insipid, so I'm going to go back in with a little bit stronger mix of paint. So my burnt sienna with a little bit of orange and red to it. It's sort of gone a little bit too light as it's dried, so I'm just going to go back in and just darken those a little bit. Pupils later, so don't worry about those. You can either paint over them or just leave them. But I'm still going to go back in with my washed and dried brush and take that little bit of highlight out at the bottom. Well, lighter, it's not the highlight, it's just a bit lighter. Those look a bit stronger, looks a bit better. I'm going to leave the eyes and the nose to dry a bit because we don't want to start messing about with that while it's still too wet. And I'm going to move on to the horns now. Now, what sort of colour do you think we should go for with that? Any suggestions? Quite an unusual colour, isn't it?
It's very light.
Very light. It's always got a bit of pink to it, hasn't it? So I'm going to mix up a little bit of a brown, so something like a burnt or raw umber, either of those, and just add a little bit of pink to it. A bit of magenta if you've got that. If you haven't, just a little bit of alizarin. And then isn't that sort of, you can't see it on the edge of my paper. I'll do it up here instead, you can see. But it gives me that sort of colour. So, raw or burnt umber, either of those would be okay. Again, you only need a little bit, and then a little bit of magenta if you've got that, or a little bit of alizarin crimson. And I'm just going to put a wash onto here first of all. It's probably a little bit dark, so I'm just going with some water and blend it through. I'm going to do both of them at the same time so we get the same colour mix. Water because it's a bit dark. Area which I'm just going to lift off the paint with my clean but dry brush, and we'll add those to the grooves that are in there in a bit, so that needs coming up a little bit there as well. screen does make the colours look a bit different. It looks like he's got yellow eyes, but he has got sort of brown orange ones on the paper. I don't quite know how to, it's just the colour. Oh, well, I've tried doing it, but it might be. Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps I can try one time to do something with it. Right, I'm going to come back to the eyes now. Now, this is where you could use your rigger brush, because that gives you a nice fine line. Or a small brush, again about a number 1 or number 2 or 0. Because we've got some nice fine areas to do around the eye. So I'm going to use the rigger. Remember the rigger last week? Does anybody need to borrow one? So I've got a couple to borrow, or a nice small fine brush. Have you all got a little fine brush that makes a nice point? That's the important thing, to get a nice point with our brushes. So, we want a good strong mix of colour. We're going to put that dark area around the eye. So, you test the strength on a bit of corner of your paper. So, a nice steady hand, and we're going to put this dark edge that we have got around, well, at the bottom of the eye. In fact, I might need to adjust this bit of flesh here because I've brought it out the eyes a little bit closer to the edge here. Sometimes you don't notice these things till you really concentrating and looking at them.
Are you going all the way around, are you?
So if you look at the picture,
It's like the main bottom side.
yeah, there's not so much at the top, is there? So nice and controlled and steady with the paintbrush. And then it comes down in that pencil line that we put in. Same on the other one, nice and steady. It's a bit like botanical, this, isn't it? Using little brushes. Everybody okay? If you've got anything that you're struggling with, or you say what colour did you use or what brush, just ask me. To your picture. I'm sort of just using, because it's hair here, I'm just using little brush strokes so that we get a little bit of a broken edge around the eye, particularly when it comes down to this line that leads through to the nose. So we need to put that pupil in there. Some goats have got sort of like square, haven't they, or a line. This one has got round pupils, so controlling with it quite so much. So wash it, dry it, and then we've got that. Lift off that highlight across there. It's not a really bright white highlight like we have sometimes put into eyes. It's just quite a soft one, isn't it? That's why I'm just lifting it off as opposed to using white gouache or paint later on. And the same with the other. You might need to, because the black, we've got a lot of black on there, you might need to wash your brush and dry it a couple of times to get back to that paper. So it's not bright white, but it's a softer highlight.
Is the pupil going like up to the top of the eye?
We've got that highlight there, so you can't quite see. So you can paint it and then lift it out. So on your sheet as well, it sort of explains the stages. So we paint the eyes and lift out the highlight. So we put the horns in, we need to do the ears, and then we can go back into the horns to get that shadow in there. So if we look at the picture, it's almost got a bluey purpley tinge, hasn't it, just here. So if we take a thin wash of our black or Payne's grey, just add a little bit of blue or mauve, if you've got any mauve out, and just go, it's not very strong, is it? A bit more colour. I'm just going to add that into there. And on the other side as well. So I'm going to adjust that just here. I'm going to bring that bit in because I'm a little bit too far out. Take that bit out there. And then I can spread that purpley colour up the ear a touch. Now that is black or Payne's grey with a little bit of purple in it, or just a little bit of blue if you haven't got your purple. Go back to the pink that you used on your horns, and we can do a little bit of pink, this pinky brown around the edge of the ear. Just go around the edge, yeah. And I've made a bit of a mess just there with the paint. So, just like we've lifted it off,
yeah,
we can go in just with a damp brush and a bit of water and lift it out. That is the nice thing about watercolours. So we need to add these lines. Is that to do with growth? Would that be? No, it wouldn't be, would it? These sort of lines on here. You cut them off and counted the rings, would it tell you how long? That's allowed actually. Probably not. So we want this, you know, this colour we mixed up here, which was your umber with a little bit of red in it. Just add a touch of black. And it'll just make it a little bit darker. And you can look at the shapes that we've got. We're adding those. Oh, that's not dark enough. Put a bit more grey in.
What did you do with the ears though? Is there...
So this, I think which colour? The purpley colour. So it's a bit of purple with a little bit of your black or Payne's grey. So that's just on these two sections of the ear, because they look quite purpley, don't they? And then the colour that we used on the horns, just round the edge of the ear, just where it would be not so thick, so we'd see a little bit of like the blood vessels, a bit pinky. So I'm now going to look at the shadow on those horns and just try and paint these lines in. Shadow underneath that horn where it disappears. The book club are very quiet tonight, aren't they? They're not even here, it sounds like. Do you think they've all gone home? They're usually very noisy, Claire. That's why.
Are they?
Yeah, you hear them laughing away. It's a serious book, serious discussion. Although half of them are on holiday at the moment, so perhaps that's why. So these sort of get less as they go up the horn, but we want to use that little bit of browny shadow under there. Colour that we used on our horn, on our ear, I can use a little bit of that just to show that shadow there as well, because it's quite strong shadow, but it is quite bluey as well. How are you all doing? You're very quiet. I hope that means that you're coming along great.
I'm not friends with watercolour.
You're not a friend to it? You're not a friend of watercolour. Why don't you like it?
Oh, I think that's what I wanted to do. Does its own thing, it's so good.
You've got to control it. Don't let it control you. Controls.
The dark bit is what I use for that getting on.
So that mix that we had, just add a little bit of black to it.
Ah, yes.
So it just makes it that little bit darker.
Yeah.
You don't want to make too dark, but I just want it to show up a bit. I think when I've got this brush on, put the line of the mouth in here. It does look a bit like he's smiling. And then we've got this markings underneath the mouth. So because it's fur, I'm using little brush strokes so that I get a bit of a broken edge. Because he's got this marking here as well around his nose. Same sort of colour that we've used on the horns, I'm just going to add a little bit around the top of his nose because it's a bit pink there.